illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Catching Nabi'een sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that is to give open and sound witness that nothing is worthy of worship except Allah. He is one, along with our partners and associates, and also give open and sound witness that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is a slave serving messenger and seal of the prophets. Peace be upon the prophet, upon his descendants, upon his companion, upon the righteous throughout the world. And peace be unto you. Assalamu alaikum. We're forever thankful to Allah, highly glorified to see, for once again allowing us to be at this place at this time for this blessed day of Jumu'ah, by which we come and make the break off from whatever we engaged in to serve Him in a particular way. And we always thank Him for that opportunity because we know the blessings in the Jumu'ah so much that Allah says that when the call is proclaimed, that we respond, He says, it's best for you if you only know. You see, because some people just take this casually, see? But Allah said, if you really, really understand what this is about, this part of this day, because it's the whole day, it's not a Sabbath. Everything we do is worship, so whatever we do is for the pleasure of Allah if it's done in the right spirit. So this day, but this part of this day is very significant for your development. So much that the verse says, it's best for you if you only know. See, that's just life. Some people just don't know how valuable something is, and they take it for granted. You just think about your life and think about the things that you just don't really see that should be important to you. But Allah says, even in fasting, that it's best for you if you only knew. That what the fast does for strengthening the relationship. Because that's what the fast is all about. The fast is not just to say I'm not consuming food, I'm not engaged in relationships, how much discipline I have. The fast is designed strictly for the purpose of you and I growing into taqwa. Developing this mindset of having a high regard for Allah. So He said that fasting is better for you if you only knew, because see, some people don't even see the value of the fast. Maybe next year, you know. And don't nobody know who's fasting. It's a personal thing between you and Allah. But Allah says it's best for you. So this day, this part of this day, to be in congregation, to worship Allah in this specific way, Allah says it's best for you if we respond to that call, if we only knew. So praise be to Allah, we are able to do that. I'm thinking about this verse here in the Quran where He specifically talks about the Quran and this one of its many benefits to the world. Now you have to realize the believer should already have a relationship with the Quran. So you have to see yourself as having a relationship with this book, understanding what this book is designed to do for your life. But the world has to come into that kind of awareness of the benefit of this book as guidance for the world. Now Allah makes it clear in this verse that we're going to recite, we're going to read about what this verse, what this Quran does for the social being, for man. Not for the believer, but for man. Because there's a great distinction here. Because the believer already has the relationship with the Quran. They know what the Quran is designed to do for their lives. Now Allah specifically says, addressing humanity. He says, "O man, ya ayyuhan-nas, O social being, there has come to you a direction from your evolver and a healing for the disease in your heart." It's a direction for man, male and female, and it is a healing for the disease in your heart. Now, the reason why it addresses man, because see, the believer shouldn't be walking around with no disease in their heart. I'm not talking about a disease in your body, a disease in your heart of envy, of jealousy, right? Of having long resentments. See, that's a disease that begin to corrupt the heart. And the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said that these are the things that separate the human being. He said that the believers shouldn't have envy, jealousy, and they should not boycott one another. And then he said it is unlawful for a Muslim to sever a relationship longer than 3 days. You just imagine over time, you know, forget about that. Over time, I don't care about you. Over time, hate starts to develop. See, that's a disease. So Allah said this is what man needs to be aware of, because the believers shouldn't have the disease. They work to purge greed out this system. They work to purge envy, hate, and jealousy out of their systems. And he says, and for those who believe, it is a guidance and mercy. See, it shows you the believers, it's not the healing for the believer. The believer's already healed of the envy, of the jealousy, of the hate. The believer life is filled with care, love, and concern. Not in a weak sense, but they know their whole mission is to preserve life. Hate is a force that is moving towards destruction. How you going to serve Allah and walk around hating His creation? How can you serve Allah and walk around with envy? He gave you what you need. Why you got envy about another person when Allah gave them? See, what Allah gave them is for them. That's why He said, for the believer, it's not a healing. He already been healed. But for the believer, it is a guide and a mercy. Oh, praise be to Allah. But for those who have not yet developed this relationship with the Quran, He said it is a healing and a direction. So they need direction. And the believer, the Quran is a direction and a mercy. It's guidance. Guidance for a better life. That's what this is all about. When you think of Al Hadi, Allah says He's the guide. He's providing the guidance so we can have a better life. No matter where you at in your life, there's always room for improvement. In fact, it said that's the biggest room in the house, improvement. You can always work to get better. I don't care what's your best, you can work to get better. That's why Muhammad, the Prophet, ﷺ, said that when the believer endeavor a task, they seek excellence. Whatever you set out to do, you should be moving with the mindset of doing your best. Making conditions better. That's why we talk about this ideal of Hassan. One who comes to make things better. One who comes to beautify. See, when you take on these names, you don't take on the name because it sounds nice. You take on the name because the name gives you something to strive towards becoming. You're becoming more gracious. You're becoming more forgiving. See, you take on names that have meaning. That's what the name is. The name is some identification. And the name shows you who you can become. Because we're always in this mode of becoming more, becoming better. So Allah said that the Quran, for the believer, it is guidance and a mercy. But for the human being, He says clearly that this is a healing for the disease. Look at the world. Look at the condition of the world. Look at the lack of respect for human life. It is all the result of the expression of the disease that is in some human beings' heart. Because those who serve Allah, they work for preservation. That's why when I talk to you about the fast, it's about growing in this relationship with Allah of God consciousness. It's the mutakin having taqwa, and they work to preserve life. That's what the mutakin, they are working for self-preservation, which you know is the first law of nature. The first law of nature is that everything in the creation is working to preserve itself. Study all the animals in the world. Study all the insects you see. Study the birds. Look at the squirrel. If you get too close to the squirrel breaks camp, because the squirrel has within him a mechanism of flight, because it has to preserve itself. But the human being who has not yet come to that awareness of the great appreciation for this great life Allah gave him. You remember last time we talked about Akbar? That Allah is greater, He's the greatest force in creation. And if you submit to Him, then you have to grow in greatness as a human being. You're not an average being. You're not a small being. You're not an insignificant being. You are a great being because you submit to the greatest force in the creation. Therefore, you begin to express your greatness as a human being. And if you come to this awareness of appreciating your greatness, then you have to work diligently. You have to work hard to preserve this greatness. That's why the mutakin, there are those who are working to preserve the greatness of that life. That life is valuable, and that life has a specific purpose for being in existence. See, when Allah says He's the creator, He's Al Hadi, when He creates, there's already a plan behind the created form that you see. When Allah wills something into creation, there's already a plan for that creation. So the one who understands there's a great life, they know they need guidance, and they need the mercy from Allah. Because their whole mission is to express, even with all the challenges and difficulty, their intent and movement is to express that greatness, not this small, mediocre, average life. That's why Allah says, you are the best group of people. You're the best group of people, not brought out for believers. We said from the very beginning, this verse is, Ya you and Nas, O you people. See, this Quran is for people. Those people who have not yet developed a relationship with the Quran. So Allah says, Qaidatu ummata ukrijal linas, that you are the best group of people brought out not for believers, not for Muslims, but for linas. You know what linas is? Nas is man, social being, human being. Not classifying how they believe, but a human being that you have concern for, a human being. So here's the greatness. Allah said that of all the people, you're the best group of people brought out. For all people. Why? Because you have the guidance. You don't have the disease. You have the empathy, you have the concern, you have the love in your heart for what Allah created. So you work to strengthen those bonds. You work to have relationships with people. And you get away from this Muslim to Muslim. I'm just concerned about Muslims. Is that what Prophet Muhammad did? When they were being persecuted, who did Allah send the believers to for aid? Through Muhammad the Prophet, the inspiration is to go off, and someone who doesn't even believe the way you believe will give you safety. Wasn't the Muslim king, wasn't the Muslim ruler. It was a Christian. It was a man who had concern for another human being. And Allah shows us in this part of history how human beings who are connected to him have concern for other human beings even though they don't share the same belief system. Why? Because that's Allah's creation. And then the person you see right now may not be the person you see tomorrow. See, because as something moving, you don't know where it's going to end up at. That's why you have to be very careful how you judge. Because you don't know who that person may be tomorrow. But Allah sent the believers to a caring human being who was sensitive to the pain of those who were being oppressed. See? Something about being concerned about those who are being oppressed, that it troubles your soul to witness oppression. We should have a dislike for oppression. It should disturb our souls. But unfortunately, we've seen so much oppression in America that is socially accepted. You almost expect to see it and lived out all of your life. Whether it's visually, you see it, whether it's on the television, whether it's on the internet, you see oppression everywhere, and you see it so much that it doesn't even disturb your soul anymore. Why? Because you're witnessing those who are expressing the disease that is in their hearts. Broken people. Poverty, impoverished people, weakened people, beggars. These are broken people. Now the Quran comes to restore these human beings, to build them back up. And I know many of you remember Humpty Dumpty, right? Said Humpty Dumpty was on a wall. And he had a great fall. I mean, we're talking about this great, he had a great fall, the great statue, high places. And I don't want you to just think about nursery rhyme, I want you to think about people, how they fall from greatness. And then their lives just get shattered. And some of them stay shattered. They never come back together. Because they say all the king's horses and all the king's men, they couldn't put them back together. The politicians try to do it. The social scientists try to do it. Social programs try to do it. Religious people try to. They just couldn't put those beings back together. And they live a shattered life. So much that Frederick Douglass said that it's easier to raise a child than it is to repair a broken man. See? Broken in their spirit, broken in their soul, in their mind, their lives has been shattered, and they stayed in that shattered state. When we give the revelation, when we give the spirit of peace, our job is delivering this message of truth, this message of healing, because that's our mission. Our mission is to deliver a message of healing. Our mission is to help people to move those broken pieces to peace. See? Those broken pieces in your life to bring them to peace. ربنا اتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. Assalamu alaikum. Yes, assalamu alaikum. So we're talking about our mission is to deliver a message that helps people to move towards peace. That's our ultimate goal. To help people to move from broken pieces, I want you to follow me now, to peace. They move from broken, shattered life broken pieces to a level of being comfortable with who they are and what Allah blessed them with. So people can move away from impoverished states. They can move away from being comfortable with poverty. See, because the real poverty is inside, not outside. See, there's something going on inside that people accept the life of being impoverished. Poverty, brokenness, welfare. Don't you know the damage welfare has done to America particularly? It took the drive out of people to be productive. They're waiting for somebody to give them something. See, Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, said that no descendant of Adam can enjoy a better meal than the one that he earned with his own hands. There's nothing more satisfying than saying that this is what I produced, with what Allah blessed me with the potential, with the faculties, with the skills. He blessed me with ability. There's nothing more satisfying and fulfilling than to be able to produce for yourself. So we want to help people to move from broken pieces to peace. The shattered life. So it said all the king's horses. I want you to think about the nursery rhyme, but I want you to think about how people have these falls. And then you could possibly be a lifter. You can help to lift them up. You can help to restore them. You can help them to give them the spirit they need to move a little further down the path of dignity and respect. You have to be a lifter. You have to see yourself as a lifter. Why? Because Allah said already that he created the human being. Then he said that he breathed of his spirit into the human being. And then that human being became a living soul. You understand that the human being has the spirit of Allah inside their body? That's powerful right there. See, if you really have been turned on to the idea that you have the spirit of Allah in your body, there's no need for you to accept brokenness. I got the spirit of Allah in me. If I have the spirit of Allah in me, that spirit's supposed to be lifting me up. That you have to see yourself with the spirit of Allah working to lift other people up. Remember we talked about being in the pit? You got some people who go down in the pit. Some of them come up, some don't. But when you're down in that pit and you turn to Allah, understand that He's the one that says He will not change your condition until you change it yourself. See, when you turn to Him, realizing He gave me power. That's what He gave you. He gave you power. When He said He will not change your condition until you change it, He's letting you know He gave you power. But then the society can turn off your power. And then you fall to sleep. So I love these little stories. You remember Rip Van Winkle, don't you? And it said that Rip Van Winkle, it's just a picture, it's a story, that he fell asleep. And when he woke up, the whole world was different. And that's how some people are. They're walking around sleepwalking, and they don't even see the changes that are taking place. 5 years, 10 years. The world is gradually changing. And we have to engage ourselves in the process of being those who are participating in the changing of the world. Because the Lord gave you that kind of power. And then when you understand what change is and how it works, what changes people. There's all kinds of change. There's 3 different levels of change. The change that is drastic, a loss, pain. These are drastic means that change people. It's what you call sometimes a turning point. That because of this experience that was drastic, it turned my life in a whole different direction. Let's say a person made a 365-degree turn instantly. That's drastic change. But then you have the gradual change that happens because of experiences and relationships, and then you begin to work on yourself, and sometimes you don't even notice the change that is happening gradually, just like the night merges into day. It's happening, but you really don't see it. How the weather has changed. Sometimes they're instant, and sometimes it's gradual. And the law is showing us the power of change. And then some change is inspirational, is internal. That you can hear something, you can see something, and it can change your life. It's all about change. You study the weather, you study the conditions, you see change. But the question is, how do people respond to change? Looking at the world. We said this word now is social man, a being of perception. How do you look at things? It's been said that one prisoner looked out the jail bars. He looked out the window. One saw dirt, the other one saw stars. It's all about how you look at things. He looked out, both of them looked out the same window. One, all he saw was dirt. The other saw the brightness in the lost creation. They saw one of the wonders, they saw the guiding points. See, the stars are means of guiding points. That's why they talk about Harriet Tubman, the North Star. She used it as a guiding point. So both of them, both prisoners in it, both of them locked up. And both of them looked out the window. And all one saw was dirt. They ain't gonna produce nothing. And the other one saw a sense of enlightenment. So what you looking at? What do you see when you look at all of this creation? That's why Allah says, and travel through the earth. Travel through the earth and see what was the end of those who rejected truth. See, traveling expands your thinking. Traveling broadens your thinking. Traveling does something for your spirit. You got to move about this creation. When you start moving about studying the Lord's creation, there's nowhere in the world you're going to accept lack. That's why I said, see, one looked out and saw dirt, the other one looked and saw stars. See, some people look at all this creation and all they see is lack. See, life going to give you what you ask for. See, if you ask for a quarter, that's what life going to give you. Ask for $1, life going to give you that. But we live in a world of abundance. We don't live in a world of lacking. We shouldn't be asking for small things in terms of how we engage in this creation. So what you looking at? That you have to go to work on yourself. There's some things you just got to die to. Smallness. The Quran says, Mount Fahaya. Die that you may live. See, there's certain urges, there's certain smallness you have to die to so you can really live to your greatness. Mount Fahaya. Death. See, we think about death, we're not just talking about when it's over. We're talking about as you move in your body, there's certain things you have to die to. That's why we say, as Muhammad the Prophet teaches us, that the greatest jihad, the greatest struggle is against yourself. They went on the battlefield, they fought, and they came back victorious. They was excited about the idea that we outmaneuvered the enemy. And the Prophet Muhammad told them, that's the small jihad. Jihad al-Akbar, the greatest jihad, is against yourself. So you got to wage war on yourself. You have to wage war on yourself of not being assertive enough. Not having a high level of commitment on this path. That you are more excited about death than you are about life. Okay? Before you grab hold out of some people, they were excited about death. Living just like Evel Knievel. You know Evel Knievel? Evel Knievel living like a stunt man. A man who took all kind of risks. But you grab on the real life and you fall asleep. I mean, you real aggressive. I've seen it, witnessed it. You operate in the dead world, mean you're excited about death, you're moving aggressively. And then when you come to real life, you put out. You come to real life and all your energy just goes out your body. When you come to life, you should be highly excited. Because you already realize you've become aware of the fact that Allah said, He breathed of His Spirit into my body. That Allah said, you know, you have already been wired to inspire other human beings. And if He has breathed of His Spirit into your body, you shouldn't stay there. You should always be working on coming up. He said that He breathed of His Spirit. There's something of Allah in your body. And that should excite you to want to work to do more. That should excite you to want to work to do better. That should excite you to want to make a greater contribution to life so you can achieve the highest level of Jannah as a worker in the cause of Allah. Peace be unto you. Assimilation becomes
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, Hayya ala salah, Hayya ala falah, Qad qamatis salah, Qad qamatis salah, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah.
Wait to sit up.